Hey, welcome back, everybody. It's time to grab your gear and take to the road as we try and catch up with the people driving the EBike Revolution and the love stories of those riding along. And today we got somebody, well, she's kind of been on both sides of it. She was discovered her love of e-bikes and turned it into a business. Welcome, if you will, the Pedego dealer from Boulder, Colorado, and also Golden, Colorado. 2 stores now. Dr. Tina Moses, welcome.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm pretty excited to be here.
Would you be surprised if I told you you're the first doctor of anything that we've had on the show?
I would be surprised, but I'm pretty excited. That's pretty cool.
So, Dr. Tina, I'm looking at your resume. I even asked you, should I really say this stuff? Born and raised in Ohio. That's hard for me to say because I was born and raised in Michigan. So it's a little,
oh, well, we can't be friends.
Little problem here. But I'm in California now, so it doesn't matter here.
All right.
Like lots of people back in those rural parts of the Midwest, the Rust Belt, it says you grew up poor. In fact, you said super poor, food stamp poor, and that you were told quickly, you're not college material, so you were kind of destined for what? The factories, the assembly lines, the other things that populate all those areas back there? Was that the career path laid out for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I was told very early on I was not college material. Kind of a stubborn human being that I am, and had some really good people in my life. My best friend's parents, Mr. and Mrs. Johnson, and they always made sure to ask me what college I was going to go to.
Wow.
And I stumbled into college and stumbled my way all the way to a doctorate. And not just a doctorate, but a doctorate in equity.
Educational equity. What the heck is educational? You're so brainy now, I don't even know what you're talking about. What is educational equity?
Is really about bringing equity into the educational world, making sure that education is available for all people, not just for the wealthy, and not just equality, but equitable, right? So I think the easiest way to talk about equity, there's a little thing that I like to do is if you have everyone sit in a circle, right, and everyone throw in their shoes into the circle, and then everyone gets 2 shoes. Doesn't matter if they fit, they just get 2 shoes. Right. They might get 2 right shoes or 2 left shoes. They might have 2 that are too small or whatever. That's equality. Equity is making sure everyone gets the shoes that fit. And so we want to make sure that there's equitable solutions. Let me make a segment or a segue into e-bikes. An equitable solution to transportation is the e-bikes, because not everyone can afford, let's say, a car. Right.
Or a truck or something, or whatever the insurance is. Right. Everything. Yeah.
So let's have equitable solutions to transportation that would include e-bikes.
And that would also give you more access, too, because now you can do this when you're 12. You can do this when you're 102. People have talked about with automated transportation, to go off down a little rabbit hole for a second, but one of the benefits is people now who couldn't drive, not just who couldn't afford to drive, but who can't drive for a variety of reasons, too old or whatever, or blind or something, or suddenly they have transportation. It's more equitable then, right? Everybody gets to move around, not just those that are young and have the money to buy a car.
Correct. And then as somebody with a disability, myself, it also provides equitable solutions to getting out and enjoying the outdoors and enjoying, national parks and things that I could never do before. I was born with a deformed leg, and for 20 years I couldn't ride a bike. And it wasn't until I got on a Pedego that I actually could ride a bike again.
So it opened up a solution for you that didn't seem possible. We've had lots of people come out and talk about this. People who had a heart attack, people who were older, people who thought they were overweight, whatever it was, there was something that says, I can't enjoy this. I can't do this. Maybe I can't even get out and do the things that people do, much less find a way to get to there. And the bike for them was that answer machine. It got them over the objections, over the hurdle.
Correct. Yeah. It's amazing what world the electric bike, especially the Pedego electric bike in my world, has opened up.
Well, let's talk about how that happened. From what I'm reading here, you were just on a cruise and you stopped in San Diego. We got funny hats on and we got margaritas in hand or whatever. And suddenly, let's just go rent a Pedego. And that turned out to be more than just a fun afternoon, I guess.
Yeah. So my husband is an avid cyclist. He's actually a hardcore cyclist. He's done the Firecracker 50, which is a big mountain bike race here in Colorado. He's done it twice. His dream vacation is always riding bikes. And again, I couldn't ride bikes.
Right.
And so my dream vacation is always a cruise.
Right.
And so we were on a cruise, and one of the stops was San Diego.
Because in a cruise, everything comes to you. You don't have to go to it. The place you're sitting moves and takes you to all these places. Right.
Yeah. Relaxing. You don't have to plan anything.
Right.
Honestly. And I had been in higher ed doing such stressful work, and I was very like, if I'm going on vacation, I want something pretty, non-stressful. And so he actually did all the research, and he found the Pedego store right there in San Diego across from the port. He rented the bikes, and we showed up, and we took them for the day. And Sean was amazing. He's the Pedego owner there.
Okay.
And he actually, he was so great. He was like, we rented them for a couple hours, and he was like, just have them back by the end of the day, and just super relaxed.
Yeah,
and super just great. And at the end of the day, we had so much fun. And he and I just started talking, and he was like, I used to be in education as well. And, it just got to be too much with all the administrators and, all of the bureaucracy and everything.
The politics, the bureaucracy, the this and that. Yeah, right. I hear that's not an easy world to navigate. Right.
It's absolutely not, especially when you're trying to, really make a difference, and you're constantly just coming up against roadblocks. And so, I was like, oh, this sounds like, something that would be life-changing to make people happy. And so went home, did my research. I was like, well, I'm going to look into this e-bike world. I have a data analytic background. I'm a data analyst.
Yeah, right. You don't just open up Google and look at a few reviews and go, that's fun. You're going to dive into the depths of this thing here.
Exactly. Right. Like I'm actually looking at studies, and yes, right. I'm actually looking at the hardcore analytics. So I looked at all the brands. I didn't just look at Pedego.
Sure.
I actually did a deep dive. Came out on the other side, and I was like, wow, Pedego is the brand. And so called Dawn and Cynthia and started that conversation, and flew out to meet with them, and was just so impressed with everyone. But
did they ever say to you, or maybe they said themselves, this woman has a doctorate in, what's the goal? I don't even know what it is. Educational equity. She's talking about being a dealer for Pedego? That doesn't sound like the next logical step in your career path.
I have no idea what they thought of me, other than maybe I was a little bit crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know.
A little wonkish, a little too into the data here. And come on, let's just let loose and have fun here. Right.
Yeah. I mean, there are times they haven't picked my brain yet. I do anticipate any day that I'm going to get a call from anyone there to say, Tina, could you do a forecast for us?
Yes.
Because
we want to do a scientific study on the body's biomechanical reaction to e-bike riding or something here, right?
Yes. Well, and it is pretty funny because they'll put up some data on, one of the weekly meetings, one of the slides, and I'm like dissecting it, and I'm like, oh wait, that's not right, or that's actually correct, and and like I'm immediately just doing my own thing to it.
Have you planned for variables in this? Have you analyzed the underlying?
Yeah.
Exactly.
If they only knew, right? Like they have their own data scientist on staff.
Didn't you work at like a college or some institute?
I did for 22 years. I worked at various colleges. Couple moderately selective universities in the Midwest and some state schools here in Colorado. I was a dean. Yeah.
So were you looking when you're on this dreamy cruise? Were you just dreaming and thinking, wouldn't it be nice to do something different? Or were you just totally floored and thought, I didn't know I was going to change paths?
A little of both. Like I really thought, honestly, I was going to go the direction of writing some books and just going on the speaker
lecture tour. And absolutely. Yeah. Right.
And doing that. But I'm telling you, the happiness that these bikes bring, it's really hard to beat that. It's a great day when you sell a bike and you see someone just smiling.
Everybody says that. Because I haven't sat in the store and done that, we all listen to that. It's like, oh, yeah, okay, they're just saying that. I hear this over and over and over again. I mean, that seems to be an important part of this business model. You know, as they say, hello, fun. You've brought fun into not just your life, but into the community around you here.
You just saw those people that got back from the tour.
Did. We're on Zoom, and she's getting ready for a couple of minutes delayed, and she's like, oh, okay, hi, bye, and there are all these people who just got back, greatest tour and everything. Like somehow we're Channel 7 doing a report on this tour that she just gave. Anyway, everybody's all excited, and as she leaves, she says, make sure and try the cookies. She just baked cookies, like you're the mom for all these people.
It's true. Yeah. Well, I'm from Ohio. Michigan can't understand this, but when you're from Ohio, you don't invite people to your home and not bake them cookies.
That's right. That's right. And I have to smile because you said one other thing here that just made me think of home, that upper Midwest area. To this day, I'm in my 60s, and when I see some of my friends and their aging parents, those that are still alive in their 90s here, I still call them Mr. Smith or Mr. Jones or Mrs. Jones. I don't say, hey, Sally, hey, Susie. And people always think that's so strange. That's the way I was brought up in that area. You never talk to adults with their name. You always called them Mr. Smith.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, and people think it's interesting when they come to our store, and our tours are huge. Like, we just had last week, we had 2 huge groups, one of 50, one of 35. Wow. We had senators in. I don't know if I should say that, but
you had who? You had a senator in?
We had some state senators in. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to.
Well, that's all right. Prominent people, not just ordinary folks. Because I'm told this is one of the top things to do in Boulder now. Here is to take your tour.
It is. But what people always say about the tour, besides it is fantastic, is that they can't believe that we don't nickel and dime them, because they come in and I have cookies for them. I have sunscreen for them to borrow. I have free water. And they're like, what is this place? And I'm like, I'm from Ohio.
Yeah.
Like,
you're at my house. Come on over. This is my friends. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the Midwest. Like, this is how we are in the Midwest.
Absolutely.
So it's just a different world.
So what do they do on this tour, and where do they go? What do you see? Why is this tour so hot? I'm not making this up. She was delayed getting on the show because these people are like saying, that was so wonderful and great. And then they see that she's on camera and they're like, you got to try this. Woo-hoo. But they're pumped up.
Yeah. So, I mean, we do a 15-mile loop around Boulder. We stop at interesting places. We give them interesting facts. We do lots of picture opportunities. We see very interesting things, sometimes things you don't want to see. Like, there's sometimes naked people in Boulder.
Well, it is kind of this kind of hippie college kind of town. That's my impression of it. Maybe it's not true or not, but
it is true. It's very true. Like, we have a lot of interesting people walking around Boulder.
Yeah.
I forget how many square miles it is, but we like to say it's, like 30 square miles surrounded by reality. And so
I love that. I'm going to use that one. I love that.
Yeah, it's a great town, and it's a great place to visit. And so people come, and what a great way to see the town, right? Is on a Pedego, 1,300 feet of elevation gain on our bikes.
The only time I was through there was on my way to the Great Rocky Mountain National Park. And then you sort of sit at the base of that. So you don't go up into the park, but you go in the other areas. Everybody seems to know some area, Flatiron or something. You go into some area that's nearby. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you think about that, right? Like, so we have people coming from sea level.
Right.
They're coming up here and they're already at a mile high,
right.
More than a mile high. And then we're taking them up another 1,300 feet.
Yeah.
That's impressive on an electric bike.
Yeah, right. Actually, it is, right? I hadn't thought about that. Just the mechanics of doing that, the power it takes to do that.
Yeah, and then you add to it, we don't know what shape someone's going to be in. We don't know the weight someone is coming at.
Yeah.
We don't know how hot it's going to be that day. But we know for a fact that our Pedegos are built so amazingly, we have no problem.
So says the data analyst who's done a deep dive into the data and looked at every variable imaginable, like the one she just rattled off here. Height, weight, age, size, temperature. Yeah, all these things.
It's very true. And we do look at that. We know exactly the temperature of the day and that we're going to be fine. And we have people call and ask those questions, will I be able to go this high and this far on that bike? And I'm like, yes, you will. And here's the data. So,
because usually, that is I remember when we went to the Great Iraqi, I guess we didn't anticipate that, but you do get that altitude sickness feeling, whatever, like, oh, whoa, I'm at a different altitude. I didn't realize this. It does affect different people in different ways. All right, so you got 2 stores now. Why 2? You created this one happy home where people could stop by, get baked cookies, and go have fun. Was it so much fun you had to do 2?
Well, I would do 100 if I could.
See, Don, there you go. Don's going to sign you up right tomorrow here. 100. I heard it here first.
I know. I would just move into the headquarters tomorrow if I could. I am that sold out to Pedego. These are the most amazing people I've ever met in my life. So originally, I was granted the license to Golden first.
Right.
And then...
Isn't that where Coors is headquartered? I see Golden, Colorado. Okay, all right.
Yes. I'll have to come back on another time and talk about that tour because that one goes to Red Rocks Amphitheater.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's
Dinosaur Ridge.
I have never been there, but I've seen concerts from Red Rock and everything. Famous rock and roll artists or jazz artists or other people. That's supposed to be one of the most spectacular outdoor amphitheaters in the Red Rocks here. Yeah.
So we do a tour out to that as well. So that's a whole other thing. I tend to talk about whichever store I'm at.
Sure.
And I'm mostly at the Boulder store.
Don's got the Pedego, whatever they call it. What's the big bus that he drives around here?
The Palooza?
Yeah. He could bring that, and we could load it up with the gear, and we could do a live stream from Red Rock Amphitheater. There we go. There's a thought.
I love it.
I'm game. Let's do a road show.
Let's do it. All right, Don, you heard it.
You heard it here first. If you're listening, Don, come on. You got to make it happen now here. You got everybody excited. All right. Well, we only got a couple minutes left. And it seems like there's so much more to talk about here because your background is certainly fits in line with the amazing backgrounds of so many other deals. I got to confess, when I started this show, I thought they'd all be other bike stores. I was in the bike business most of my life or had experience in sort of small mom and pop businesses. And we've had a few like that. They had a paint store. They had something local, and this was just something different. But the majority of them are bank presidents and airline pilots and some guy that was a colonel in the Air Force at the London American Consul in London. And this is not a crowd that I would think be running little mom and pop stores. What's that like to see Main Street people mosey up and have your cookies in your store here?
Yeah, it's been an experience, and I will tell you, without the support of the main Pedego headquarters, I wouldn't have been able to do it.
Because you didn't have a retail background. I mean, that's a different world, one-on-one, dealing with customers. How do you fix the bikes, just even? What do you know about fixing a bike? You're a data scientist here. Do you fix the bikes? Do you know anything about fixing a bike?
Yeah, so we always joke that when I first went out to visit with Dawn and Cynthia, I didn't even know what a derailleur was.
I'm not sure I know what it is.
And now I'm the master mechanic. So you tell me how that went.
I guess so.
love working on the bikes. I could not, if I could do anything, I would sit in the back and only work on the bikes.
Tinker with the bike. Did you have a tinkering background? Did you build and play with stuff?
No, I had never even touched anything. And now, it is hilarious because, I hire all these young guys and they'll be back there, trying to do something. And my favorite story ever, and I'll tell it to you really quick.
Okay.
They're trying to get a tire off of a stretch. And then stretch bikes are notoriously hard to get the tires off of. Because you have to take everything off.
Because it's a big bike and it's got all this other gear and stuff to carry stuff in it. So it's like cargo kind of bike, as I understand it, right?
It is, yes. And they're trying their best to get this back tire off. And they're just like, Tina, we can't get it off. And they're back there for a while. And they're like, we're going to have to bend the frame. And I just look at them and I'm like, are you kidding me? And I just grab the 10 millimeter wrench and I'm just like, and I twist it. I just twist the axle and it pops right out.
See, now that's so obvious to me. That's what I would have done. No, I have no idea what you're talking about. But you grabbed the right tool and out it popped like 1, 2, 3. And this is the woman who was a data scientist discovered this with one too many margaritas after a cruise in San Diego here. So
exactly.
Wow.
But yeah, it's just hilarious because I love working on the bikes, and our support team at the tech department is just fantastic. I mean, anytime we get stuck, they're there to help. So
can we get you to come back on another time? Because I can hear people saying, ask her this, and we're out of time. So I want to hear more about that transition from academia to Main Street America. And I want to hear about rides and tours, and I want to hear about Red Rock for sure.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Tina Moses. You've just teased us. We want to know more here, and that's exactly the time to end the episode here, because it sounds like you are on the ride of your life.
I am, but just remember this: OH.
OH. Does that stand for? Let's see. OH. I can't smell. I
you
can't.
can do it. Just say I.
There's a couple other letters I can't spit out. I don't know.
Say it. Ohio.
Ohio. Ohio. I hate to admit it, I did live in Ohio once as a kid, and we hated it. It's flat. That's why it's so flat back there. Even in Michigan, it was very flat.
Well, you can't say the other word. You can't say that.
I can't say that Michie something word here. Yeah. People have no idea how much this is ingrained in us back there, this red and blue rivalry that takes off and consumes everything back there. But I'm glad we could put that aside for today. Can't we all just be friends? We were today here, and now you're in Colorado, I'm in California, and we're both on dramatically different rides here.
Indeed, and I will make you cookies if you come to.
Well, that's a deal. All right, I'm counting on them because I tell you what, in the Midwest, you do get the best cookies in the planet here. I don't know why. Every mom had them when we came into their house. Immediately, the Mrs. Smith or Mrs. Jones would immediately have cookies for us kids as soon as we walked in the house here. All right. Well, thanks so much for sharing your house with us today here, Dr. Tina Moses.
Thanks so much for having me.
Well, I'll tell you, I could talk to her all day long. It's just like being back home. That's what it sounds like. As we ride along and learn more about the amazing people driving the e-bike revolution, those just riding along right here in the Pedego podcast.